Welcome back. Canada's labour force has a two-pronged challenge: support workers who are displaced right now and train those and others for the jobs of the future. Patty Hajdu is Minister of Jobs and Families. Thanks for being with us, Minister.
Great to be here.
I do want to start with, there's a sense that the labour market is experiencing weakness overall. People are feeling very insecure, especially about, of course, training for jobs for the future. What's your message today about kind of trying to extend confidence on those fronts?
Well, I mean, first of all, my message is I understand that fear and anxiety, and I've particularly been hearing it from youth who are watching how a number of different factors are changing the labor market as we speak. But I think the message I want Canadians to receive today is that the federal government's working really closely with provinces and territories to both protect workers in any downturns, but also to ensure that skills training remains relevant and is actually better coordinated with the needs of the market as it transforms.
Of course, in the immediate, we have jobs that are at risk because of a trade war. Just fresh news about Stellantis moving a line to Illinois that we thought was going to stay here. Support for workers, I guess we'd hoped would be a short-term stopgap. Some of it might be longer term now. Is the government kind of prepared for that?
We are actually, and just after the election, we took a number of steps to improve both work supports, but also EI supports for workers that would be impacted. We knew both things would likely be true, that some workers would lose their jobs and that some workers would need to have support to reskill quickly as their particular industry or company was pivoting to either new products or markets. So we have transformed EI in large part to provide better access to immediate financial supports, but also longer duration EI, as well as supports for training and skills through additional boosts to the labor market transfers that provinces get. And by the way, they're able to really closely track who's been deeply affected and then proactively reach out to folks for immediate opportunities for skills retraining.
And there's been already a lot of money earmarked for that skills retraining, very topical today, including for jobs that we don't really even know about yet. How quickly can we respond? The money can be allocated, but how quickly does it actually turn into meaningful output you can measure?
Yeah, it really depends on the sector and the circumstances of the particular company or region. But I can tell you that there are many companies right now taking advantage of something called work sharing, which allows them to reduce the number of hours that they're paying for an employee, but keep them attached to that job site while they do that retooling and reskilling. And this provides the financial support for the employee as well to not lose a tremendous amount of pay while also staying attached to that workforce. And what employers have said about programs like this work sharing program is it's actually a big boon, because they know that if employees leave their workforce permanently, that it's often hard to track them back. I've certainly seen that in Northern Ontario with a number of different companies that go through sort of a boom and bust cycle.
You mentioned young people. Part of the problem we've had, of course, is there was a real tilt and a bias towards, away from skilled trades, towards, getting a college or university degree and going off down that track. We need young people to do the opposite now. Can we make that pivot, which is almost a messaging one as much as one of kind of practical application?
That's very insightful, Amanda, and I'm really glad you said that, because we have actually been investing in skills trades training in partnership with unions, in partnership with colleges, in partnership with provinces and territories. We've provided incentives for diversification of the trades. We need more people to think of the skilled trades as a great paying job or career path, but the challenge really is one of psychology as well. And I remember being a young person where entering into the trades was really discouraged. People were really pushed towards a university system, a system of academia or higher learning, and the trades were seen as sort of the poorer cousin. But in fact, the opposite is true from an earnings perspective, and that's the message we have to get across. These are highly skilled, in many cases deeply technical jobs that have great paychecks and a great future.
So good to have you, Minister. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Patty Hajdu is Minister of Jobs and Families. Time for the takeaway, and when an argument has circular logic. This week, OpenAI made yet another big announcement with a technology partner. This time it was Broadcom, with a plan for the AI company to develop its own chips. But it's just the latest announcement from OpenAI with a big name in chips and servers. Intel, AMD, NVIDIA, and Oracle have all lined up to make a deal with the company at the heart of the AI explosion. The problem is that almost all of those deals involve circular finance. For instance, NVIDIA is giving OpenAI a bunch of money via an investment, and OpenAI is using that money to buy NVIDIA's products. This would be troublesome if it was only cash, but since the money in question is really high-flying, publicly traded stock, it becomes of interest to the whole market. So far, OpenAI has almost $1 trillion of commitments on paper to buy technology, while its revenue is closer to $12 billion, though that's just a report since the company doesn't disclose its financials. Of course, there's no question it's growing fast. One estimate suggests OpenAI now has 700 million weekly users of its ChatGPT AI product, but how that translates into sales, let alone profit, is less clear. What is clear is that the biggest players in tech want a piece of its business in future, and they're willing to invest a great deal of capital now to secure it. To grow at the rate it hopes, OpenAI will need massive amounts of computing power, including data farms and chips, and so it makes sense to lock them up now, or at least it makes sense until it doesn't. If another company does an end run around OpenAI, and several big players are trying to do just that, including Google, Meta, and Canada's Cohere, all of this investment could be for little or nothing. And that in turn could burn investors in the companies who are betting on one outcome. My takeaway? Maybe financing future growth is perfectly logical, but we've seen circular finance in the past, and it didn't end well for the stock market. That's Taking Stock for this week. I'm Amanda Lang. Thanks for being with us.